Euge Valovirta. And this one is about modding my 1959 hand-wired super lead Plexi. I've done quite a few videos recently about the Plexi. Links there and in the description if you want to check them out. The amp sounds absolutely fantastic as bone stock, but there's a few minor things that I like to do. Because my friend, my colleague and my amp tech, Eric Studer, here in Switzerland, he's also an official Marshall, repair guy. So he's suggested me a few things I could make this amp even more, more is more, kind of what I want. So they're basically, I guess, similar, what is usually referred as Van Halen mods, the fat cap, then biasing the amp according to the Variac that I'm using it with. I'm using it at 160. On my recent videos, I think I was using it between 140, 170 or 160. But now I've had the amp for a couple of weeks and I found that I like the most the response, the feel and everything when the amp is set to 160 volts. Because here in Europe we get from 220 to 240. I'm getting here in my studio usually around 220. So I'm reducing it to 160 volts, so about 73-74%. It's the same like, in the States where you have 120. If you do the Van Halen Variac thing, reduce it to 90, that's about 75%. So in relation, I'm doing pretty much that. From 120 to 90, from 220 to 160. It's the kind of the same thing. So Eric will bias the amp and then he will do the fat cap mod and then some mid part mod and whatnot. And maybe we're even gonna change the EL34s to 6 CA7s, the tubes that Van Halen used. But first I'm gonna play the riff, kind of the song, what I've used on these Plexi videos. Now when it's completely stuck, and then I'm gonna go to MusiX tomorrow and we're gonna do some things. Not sure if we're gonna do these all, what I said, or if we're not even gonna do them all, or if we're gonna do something more. And then I will play the same stuff again with the amp modded. So the signal chain is, this is the Warmouth Superstrat I put together myself, with EMG 81 and S single coil neck pickup, 3-way pickup switch, 1 volume control, FU tones stuff, EVH drop tuner. I really like this guitar with the Plexi. It really sounds good. Then the signal goes to my pedal board where I have super overdrive now on, and as you can see from the settings, I've set it up a bit differently like how I usually set mine. Picture there. This one is the usual, this one is the, how I said it, so it's the Wazacraft, but I use it on standard mode. It's a tiny bit different, very minor tweaks where I feel the amp, just it does what I want it to do. Because the other SD one I'm using with the JCM800s. So that's that. I'm gonna play the riff with and without the SD. And then it goes to CYHRA amp electronics amp switcher, but I'm not switching any amps. Then via FireEdge power station, I'm attenuating this a bit, because with 160 volts it's still really loud, but it's not insanely loud. Then I'm using my Marshall 9060 BX cabinet where I have 25M greenbacks and 65M creamback and 75H creamback. 65M creamback with SM57 and Sennheiser MD421, and then 25M greenback with just a single SM57. They're on equal level, so I get kind of the bottom, the really full sound from 65. It's really close to a greenback, and then greenback gives me the kind of the bite and the greenback sound. Okay, well first I will play the stuff I'm gonna play with super overdrive, then I'm gonna play the same thing without, then the amp will be muddied, and then we'll be back here and play the same thing again. So. Then without the SD. Like that. Gonna start like this. Yeah, it looks like an old amp. Yeah.
Yeah, so you got your main rectifying diodes here. For the power, you got your little bias supply.
And then these one, you said that...
yeah, these are some silver mica caps. They're not the most reliable in the long term. I've replaced a lot of these before. So it might be worth changing, you know, to improve the reliability a bit.
Yes.
And stuff. Yeah, and then here you have the tone stack. It's one of the bright caps right there, I believe. Yeah, but it's neatly hand wired, yeah, that's for sure.
Cool. All right, and what are we gonna do today?
Yeah, today, so firstly we're gonna check everything that it's in spec. We're gonna take some voltage measurements, and then Euge, he already did some tests with the Variac at which voltage he likes it the most.
Yeah, 160.
So, yeah, 160.
Which, because I actually have 220 in my studio, which is a bit lower, I think, than usual. And 160, it's like 73%, so it's equivalent to American 120 if you lower it to 90. That's pretty much the same.
Yeah, right. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna rebias the amp at that voltage, which is gonna change the sound drastically too, you know, on the output stage. And then we're gonna be rolling some preamp tubes. Yeah, and go from there.
Yeah.
Take it one step at a time. The idea is also to bring it a bit more closer to Ed's specs.
Yes.
To Eddie's amp.
So the fat cap maybe, and then
yeah, fat cap, the different mid spot. We're gonna adjust the negative feedback. Yeah, maybe we can change some of the coupling caps too.
Yeah, it's to me when I see this, it's like we have a saying in Finland. It's like watching to the ocean. So there is a lot of stuff, but but I'm glad that it.
No, it's coming.
It makes
it's very organized. Yeah, and it's interesting if you check closely. Actually, they pre-drilled here one of the holes, so you could easily mod it to have another gain stage, which is nice.
But I don't think we're not gonna do that because I'm happy with the gain, and then if and when I need more, I just hit the amp with the overdrive, super overdrive, or tube screamer, or whatever feels the best on any given day. Cool. All right.
Okay, so we're adjusting the bias.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, the circuitry needed a little bit of modification to be able to get within the range. Yeah, now we lowered the mains voltage and we can increase here the bias current quite a bit. And if you actually look at the waveform, it's also interesting to see if I now start to turn it down. You see that knee that starts to appear. It's some kind of crossover distortion that you're getting.
And we want it to be smooth.
That's right.
Yes. Cool. And the mains is 160.
All right. I'm back from MusiX and Eric did the following. I need to cheat. I asked him to wrote what he did. Rebiased the amp at 160 VAC volts, mains to 65% plate dissipation. Then it says 25 at tungsol EL34's not so well matched, kind of, in however you say it in English, okay, whatever, maybe this was to him, because we're gonna change the power tubes too. Adjusted bias supply to get in a range of adjustment at new operating conditions. Adjusted negative feedback with 100K resistor. Then adjusted 25K mid spot to be closer to 50K when dimed. Well, I have it done because he didn't have the 50K pot, but he adjusted. Now I think he's gonna change that to be done, because I want to test this now, and then we will order these following parts. Fat cap mod, 6 CA7s output tubes, new output transformer, coupling caps upgrades. I'm pretty sure these means many things to many people, little things to me, but I'm mostly a player. I know if it sounds good, it's good, and it's better than, I mean, the amp was amazing, it's even better. And then what we also did, Eric gave me a bunch of preamp tubes, because he said that he's not that impressed of the preamp tubes that comes stuck with Marshalls, and usually my favorite are JJs, like I have JJs on all my amps, preamp and power amp. But with the Plexi, these tube amp doctors premium quality tubes, ECC83 dash CG premium, C-Jet premium selected. These ones just like really crunchy, like woohoo. So I tried the amp briefly at Eric's at MusiX at the workshop, and there's more gain. There's no gain much, but those what I just said, what Eric did, correcting the bias, the mid part, and correct tubes, new preamp tubes, man. So on the first clip, like I had the SD set up differently than I normally have, like more gain, but now I don't need. So this is without the SD. It's like Bad Boy now. And then when I add the SD with my settings that I had when this was completely stuck, too much gain. So my usual settings, how I always set the SD, like this. Check it out. Amazing. Okay, enough yapping. Let me play the riffs what I just, played actually to you a few minutes ago, to me a few days ago. Man, the signal chain is the same cabinet, same speakers, same mics. Now without the SD. Alright, man, I get goosebumps. It's so great already. And Eric said that it will be even. Man, it barks. Woo! Okay, another week has gone and the amp has, improved. So we didn't get all the parts we were supposed to get. So we only got the new power amp tubes, which are JJ's 6 CA7s. We're waiting still for the fat cap and a couple of other things, but I just wanted to document this where we are now. So now the amp is exactly the same like it was on the last clip. Same cabinet, same speakers, green back with 57 and MD421 and a green back with 57. The only difference now is the power amp tube. So I'm gonna start without the SD, so just the amp straight in. I'm gonna play the same riff. Okay, I feel like there's a more bottom and a bit more that highs. Definitely EL34 character, but towards 6L6s. I mean, because Eddie, you know, later with 5150s, he started to use 6L6s, so there's a clear, you know, thing. Okay, another thing, I feel that the bottom was a little boo. Let me try with SD now I have jumpered the cable like on the settings are the same, everything on full except the volume 2 is on 4 and then the cable's been jumpered. Let me try with SD because I feel like I might not need the jumper now with the 6CA7s because there is, you know, bigger low end projection. Okay, now with the SD. Now it's in tune. I feel like there's even more gain because the Eddie has said the same. I mean, the power tubes, they are biased a little bit on the hotter side, not extremely hot, but a little bit there. So, okay, SD with these settings is a bit too much. Let me take the SD off. Unplug the jumper cable. Let's turn this to 0, and now nothing on. Okay, and now bleeding that in, because when you have the jumper cable, then you're, you know, blending the channels with these two volumes, but when you don't, the channel 2 still bleeds in there, because these inputs, this goes to the other half of the first preamp tube, this goes to the other, because they are not, they are in like in parallel, so they are not in series cascaded like on JCM800. So, because I think I've said this before, but because the preamp tubes, they have kind of like two sides. So now what I'm doing is I'm cranking the first side, because this is a preamp, there's no master, and then I'm blending in the other side to that tube, which I get a bit more gain and a bit more bottom. So now this feels, with the 6CA7s, actually really good. I think this is what Eddie did also. Maybe he didn't use this at all, but I feel like on some albums there's a bit more bottom, like on Fair Warning. I feel like it could be done also in the mixing, on the mixing engine, and just boosted the lows. But in general, my guess is that it was probably something like this on the fair warning, because that is actually, that's my favorite guitar sound of Eddie's from the Plexi era. That album, and the first one, of course. Yeah, definitely like that. I feel like the amp almost opens a little. It's quite a bit of gain. Okay, now let's add SD. Okay, now, because it's SD cut slows a bit, so now I feel like, because now it sounds really good without anything. I just wanted to add a little bit, and I feel like SD in this scenario cuts the lows a bit too much. So let's drive Human Pedals amp driver. I did a video of this a while ago. On that video I said that it will probably stay on my pedal board, and it has been. It's great. It's more organic than, let's say, SD1 or Tube Screamer. So let's try that. And a picture, I will put the current settings I have. So drive like 9:30, 10 o'clock, volume 4 o'clock, tone and presence just a hair past noon. Yes! Wow! Now, because I just wanted to have a little bit more, and this gives me very organically a little bit more. So the settings, pre-gain, focus, tight switch, and post-gain, they are all down. So the focus cuts the lows kind of like SD. I mean, it still cuts even without the focus a little bit, because it's not boo boo boo. And when the focus is on, you can make it even tighter with the tight switch. But that's not needed. Let's try with the focus switch. Yeah, it just makes it a bit tighter. I guess if this would be in lower tuning, I would use probably the tight switch. I feel like this works now. It's the sound in my head. So only the high input, the treble input, the harder one, then blending in the input 2. It's actually on 4 where it was, but without the jumper cable, so it's less effective. SD1 gave me a bit too much mid-honk and low cut, but the Human Pedals amp driver was just like amazing. Let me show you. So now it's without. So it adds a it boosts the mids, but not as differently than SD, and it doesn't cut the lows quite as much as SD. This works great. Yeah, just what I need, just tiny amount, and then when I take it off and roll down the volume, cool. Okay, now let me do one thing, because now I'm having the greenback and the greenback. I want to see how this sounds just with the greenback with 57 and ribbon mic. Wait a second, I will. Okay, so now there's a 57 and SC Electronics X1R ribbon mic in front of the greenback cabinet with the SC Electronics, this kind of isolation thing. So let me check how that sounds now. So the 57 is louder, and then I blended in the ribbon mic just to give a bit more low end, and it also smoothens out some of the upper mids nicely. So now without the human pedals amp driver, like you can hear, speakers make a huge difference, even though greenback and greenback are pretty close to each other. I think this is more brownier to me, more kind of how I hear this. I mean, we're doing basically the Van Halen mods to this one, so yeah. Yeah, it's fat, there's top, and it's brown. Okay, then let's add the amp driver. Yeah.
And then also near the tone stack, some of the capacitors, as well as on the volume control. The bright cap, it was increased, it will lead through more high end. And then the output coupling caps, stock it was 022, now it's 01, I believe.
How about the mid part? Did it?
Yes, I will have to order a new one because it's different size. But now with the mod, it should react or behave the same way.
Okay. All right, back in my studio again, and now what Eric did to the amp. So just to recap what's being done. So there's the 6 CA7 power amp tubes, and they are biased to use with the Variac at 160 volts. So I'm lowering the voltage from what I get here, which is now exactly 220 to 160, which is approximately the same than if you would lower from the American 120 volt power to around 90. So 6 CA7 tubes biased accordingly with the Variac on 160 volts. Then what else? Yeah, adjusted the negative feedback with 100k resistor, adjusted 25k mid path to be closer to 50k mid path when timed. So I have it timed. We didn't actually change the mid path now last time because I really like how it is, because I use it pretty much timed. Maybe we'll do that in the future, but so far I'm really happy with the amp. And then what Eric did now, after the last segment, the fat cap has been added there, and then coupling capacitor upgrades to the preamp section. I'm not an amp tech, so I don't know. I mean, Eric explained to me and told what he did, the values, but I don't remember. Maybe I'll add them here to the text. I need to ask him again. So yeah, coupling capacitor upgrades. We didn't put out a new transformer, output transformer, because I really like how this sounds now. We might do that in the future, but so far I'm really happy with the amp. So basically what there is now, there's more everything, a little bit more gain, more lows, more everything. It's becoming a bad boy, Plexi bad boy. Okay, so let's check it out. So the settings are exactly the same on the last clip, everything on full except the volume 2 on 4. And then now I have the jumper cable, no overdrives or boosts, nothing in front, and the cabinet is the Marshall 9060BX, where I'm miking one of the 25M greenbacks with SM57 and SE Electronics X1R ribbon mic. Okay, so let's check it out. Yeah, the low end is huge, so no need for that. Let's take that out because it's boo boo. Okay, then now without it. Feel it's still a bit, woo. So let's turn the volume 2 to 0, the low bass input. Yeah, and now it lets the highs more through. Okay, so now the amp is, if I've understood correct, pretty much in the specs that Eddie's famous 68 Plexi, I believe. He's wasn't really muddied, I think, but back in the day, Marshall, they just put whatever parts they had at the time, and Eddie's have now had these parts. So there's no gain mods or anything. There's just different valued components, and the 6 CA7 tubes, which does a lot, and the Variac. So yeah, so no boost, and it's, okay, then let's try it with the boost. With the amp driver, I really liked the last time. It's very organic, very natural. It just adds a little bit. Sounds absolutely fantastic. But now I believe this will be even more with the good old Boss SD1. So nothing first, and then I'll kick in the SD setup my usual way, like that. Yeah, so SD cuts the lows a bit more and adds a bit more mid. It's more, both are fantastic. So SD1 now works amazingly well, as does the human pedals amp driver. Both work really well, really with different flavors. Okay, so because this is starting to be my Plexi Bad Boy now. Let's compare it to the Bad Boy Marshall JCM800 203 from 84. The Marshall, I know it's gonna be more scooped, there's gonna be a bit more bite, and you know 800 is an evolution of Plexi. So with Plexi, the preamp isn't that overdriven. A lot of the overdrive comes from the power tubes, you know, whereas with 800 overdrive comes, a lot of it comes from preamp, but also from the power amp, depending how loud you crank the master. So I have the master so that well, it's gonna be, if I'm not totally mistaken, as loud as the Plexi. So there is plenty of power amp mojo too. Okay, let's see if it works. Like you heard, more top, bit more scooped sound. So both with SD now, I'm gonna play the same riff. Let's start with the Plexi. Like you hear, a lot more top. Greenback isn't my favorite with JCM800. My favorite speaker is a Marshall Vintage or Celestion V30, which are pretty much the same. Because they smooth, they bring out the mids more. You know, it works. With Plexi, the V30 is a bit too. Oh, to me, Greenback is the cabinet with Plexi, and V30 or with the vintage speaker, Greenback speaker, and the vintage speaker V30 is the cabinet with the 800. But this gives you, you know, pretty good, you know, info like how this differs. But I mean, game-wise, they're pretty much. Let's compare without SD. First the Plexi. Yeah, so like I said, more lows, less mids, more top on the 800, which is typical. But now this Plexi, this is now this is the sound in my head. 800 is the amp I've used the most, but Plexi is also I've always liked, but it's been a little bit like I've always wished that I wish it could have a bit more of this and more of that and a bit more bottom and bit more gain, and now it is just like the perfect Plexi to me. The sound, the Plexi sound in my head, with and without SD1 or human pedals amp driver. Okay, and then let's listen a song, because my first video about this, when I got this, it's probably some weeks ago, a month ago or so, I used a song and I recorded, you know, with that. It was a bone stock then. I had a Variac also, but nothing else, and SD1. And now let's listen a song, or I'm gonna record the song, delete the original guitars and record new guitars left and right. I'm gonna film myself while doing the left guitar and solo with now the amp in its modded stage. And I'm gonna use SD for the, because that's what I used on the original song. And then it's time to wrap it up and the usual conclusion. All right, now let's listen to the song with the modded Plexi. Rock and roll. Conclusion. I'll keep this short. So, after these mods, the already amazing amp became more of the same amp. So there's more everything. More bottom, more gain, more top. Quoting Yngwie, what do you mean less is more? More is more. So, like, I started having the channels jumpered, adding bottom from the, volume 2, and the end, the mix you just heard, no jumpered, no bleeding, just the, top treble channel. And now, if I want, I can blend in more bottom or jumper the channels and to add even more bottom. So now the amp is just a bit more versatile. It still cleans nicely, when you roll down the guitar's volume. And now it's it is the Plexi sound in my head, because in general the sound in my head has been my first tube amp ever. I bought in the 90s, Marshall JCM800. And now I have the Plexi sound, what I had in my head, it's here. So we're probably going to, or I want to try a new power output transformer, because those kind of have a big impact. And Eric said that he's not that impressed, or they are good, the current, Vietnamese made Marshall power output transformers, but he said that it will be even better with because there's a couple of companies that makes, you know, output transformers and transformers in general, like Marshall used to make them back in the day in the 60s. So we're gonna probably order that and put that, but that's then another topic of another video. And probably at the same time we're gonna change the mid pot, because now the 25K mid pot is muddied to when it's cranked to put out 50. But I wanna try the, you know, 50K mid pot that Eddie apparently has on his you know, main amp, and then I think we're done. This was a bit a long video, but I hope you found this interesting and get inspiration and info, you know, maybe to do similar things or the same things. And, you know, if you're here in Switzerland or Central Europe, you know, Eric Studer MusiX. Eric is the man. But yeah, thanks for watching. Until next time, take care, all the best. Bye.